Hello everyone, Renee here. Thank you so much for your support on my channel and my adventures in DayZ. I never thought I would get anywhere close to 5,000 subscribers. A lot of people are asking me questions every day about a lot of different things and I answer questions daily, but I wanted to record a video with me answering questions so they are answered for everyone. Some questions have been asked multiple times and some questions will be answered more extensively, but I'll try to answer as many as possible. If you still have questions, you can obviously ask them in the comments and I will try to get to them as well. I hope you enjoy this video. When I was preparing this video, I started collecting all the questions and I tried to organize them in some way. That's not really possible, because some of you sneaky bastard asked multiple questions in one question. Anyway, I will start with the category DayZ in no specific order. Average Gamer asked me if I watched The Walking Dead, because I always ask the 3 same questions. Well, to be fair, I didn't even know I was asking 3 specific questions. I think you mean, are you with anyone, where did you come from, and did you see anyone else? It's just a natural habit because that is what you would want to know from a survivor. To answer your questions, I have watched The Walking Dead half into season 3 and I thought it was a little bit too over-dramatic, sometimes boring. I don't know. Sorry for all the fans out there, but I don't really watch it anymore. Gunstar asked me when the last church building becomes enterable. Can we get married in Moglevka? Short answer is no. Toporak asked me if I have ever killed on sight. The answer is yes, I have. It took a long time to actually grow to the point where my playstyle is right now, and I'm pretty sure it will change again in the future. But I don't think you will ever catch me kill on sight, because I think there's more depth to DayZ. Tony asks, who had the idea for the Karma crew? Minder did. It's kind of a Twitch thing. I consider myself more of a YouTuber. Rylan comes in with a very difficult question, who is your favorite streamer YouTuber? When I watch streams, it's usually the Running Mans. I often drop by Minder, Gunstar as well. To choose my favorite YouTuber is a little more difficult. As you all know, I really like story-based videos of people who take the game seriously. FT is a big evangelist of that. Also, Jack Knee yourself, he should upload way more. There's also this guy called Polish Guy, and he also really makes interesting stories, mostly about the experimental ones. He does all his narration in text, so he doesn't narrate at all actually, but it's still really immersive how he, touches the game. It's really awesome. So definitely check him out. I will link them all in the description. And for the rest, I really don't know. I really like episodic, story-based, dramatic DayZ videos. So if you have any, please link them in the comments. I'm really interested. Ari asks, if you find yourself in a situation where you could only save one, either FT or the Running Man, which one would you save and why? Well, I think I've been in a situation in DayZ where something like this actually happens, and I really couldn't choose. We were at VMC and we were fighting a squad of 4, so Running Man had broken legs and FT as well, and I tried to defend Running Man, and when FT asked for help, I ran towards him and dropped some bandages at him and ran back to the Running Man to try and save him again. It was really interesting. In the end, Running Man died and I died, and FT made an awesome escape. Running Man asks, will you ever do an evil video where you play as a bad guy? Whether it's someone who does holdups, KOS, or even become a cannibal. And in the end he says, you're just gonna say no. Well, not really, as you predicted already. I want to really stay close to myself when playing DayZ, because for me, that's the way to play. That is how I approach DayZ. I try to take the game seriously, and whenever it happens, maybe someday I will go with the flow when I meet an interesting weird survivor, but for the rest, I don't think so. My name is Zach asks, why don't you play Arma 2 DayZ mod? There are still a lot of good full servers. Well, I've played Arma 2 DayZ mod a lot in the past years. I played it last week as well in the making of my early days video. There is a couple of features in DayZ standalone that I really like over the mod, and that is the hunting part. The animals just run away instead of standing around. The major one is that you can actively lower your weapon to take a non-hostile mode, and all the buildings are enterable in DayZ standalone, and I think that's a huge thing. Tonto asks, here's a good question, why are you such a friendly person in DayZ? Well, why not? Why shouldn't I be a friendly person? One of my personal qualities, if that's how you say it in English, is that I really like to help people, and I think that really translates into DayZ. Steve asks, given that you refuse to spam the wells, how do you reconcile yourselves with talking to your squad mates after you're dead? I understand that your question is a joke, but I really prefer actually to talk to squad mates in direct chat only, because I think that gives a much more immersive experience. On the other hand, you know, when you're not really together or on the other end of the town, it really gives you time to talk to your friends on the other end of the line while you're not really together about non-things of DayZ. Gary also asks a question, but he doesn't really ask a question. Thanks for the support, Gary. I appreciate it, man. Ullet asks, I wonder what made you first interested in DayZ. What made me first interested in DayZ was actually I was interested in a lot of post-apocalyptic scenarios, movies, games as well. I played Left 4 Dead 2 a lot, and suddenly a friend of mine tipped me on this game and said, well, you should really like it, you have to find food and stuff. And you know, I checked some videos. Actually, after a couple of months when he told me, because I was lazy, and it only popped back in my head at that moment. It was around October, November 2012. I watched a couple of videos and I downloaded and played it the same evening. Travis asks, Renee, I have a few of you. Are there any games that you play besides DayZ? I will answer that later on. Have you ever been to the States? I've been a few days to Miami, and I've basically only been indoors because it was for work. What is your longest DayZ session? I think that has to be a little over 10 hours. Chris asks me, what is your favorite gun? I'm curious. Well, my favorite gun is possibly the Magnum and any AK variant. Nia yourself asks me, what would be your ideal base, if any? For example, fortified school apartment, small rundown shack with the bare minimum. Well, I'm not sure. In a game like DayZ, I would be very frustrated if, for example, the castles were locked down. Although in real life that would make sense, right? So I think my ideal base would be, because I'm a traveler, I'm a loner, sometimes I would like to have just, you know, a small shack that no one ever will find. But on the other hand, I really like the community part, so I would like to be able to make a massive camp with the force of direct chat only, for example. That would be really interesting. George asks, what feature are you most looking forward to in DayZ? Well, I think that's really hard to say. I think I have to say the new renderer, because it will give me more FPS. I'm also looking forward to the player controller, although I think it's hard to imagine how that will evolve the game for us. They said that it would feel like a new game for us. I'm just curious, what will it be? What will it be? It also should prevent glitchers from glitching into buildings and stuff. Only Cash asks, let's say you sub on a random DayZ YouTube channel. What does the YouTuber have to do wrong for you to unsub to it? Well, I think that has two answers, and one of those answers is to not upload consistently. If I browse through my channel list and I see that you haven't uploaded for 6 months or so, you know, I will unsub. It's as simple as that. Also, the second answer is, you know, if the content isn't interesting enough. So for example, I sub to you because you posted first person, someone tried to stab you in the back and you kind of counter that. But if, you know, in your next 6 videos, you're gonna stab people in the back yourselves, and you know, that's not really what I enjoy watching, so yeah, I will definitely unsub from that as well, for example. Alsu asks, I suck at getting gear in full servers. I'm good in getting gear in low pop servers, but in full servers, I'm talking about 40-50 people, there isn't anything left for me. So do you have any tips? I'm not too worried about, you know, getting the best gear as possible, because when you have the best gear, you know, what do? So I really enjoy the process of getting to that point, so I'm not too worried about the fact that I'm not, you know, when I get to the airfield and I'm just running around with my Magnum, for example. I'm not too worried about that stuff. You should just enjoy the game and see how it treats you. You know, that's gonna give you a better experience in DayZ, in my opinion. But here is a tip. So there are 4 major spawn cities, right? So you have Berezino, Electro, Chernarus, and Svetlojarsk. So from there you basically don't go to the popular next destination. So for example, when you're in Berezino, it's it's quite likely that you end up in Gorka or in Severograd. So why don't you go to Polana instead, or Shakovka, Dolina, those areas. In Cherno Electro, it's Tolga, Mogilevka, Bor. Go to the unpopular places, the places that no one goes, and check every house. You should be fine. Potberries asks, in your opinion, what is DayZ missing? What I really miss in DayZ is rivers. Come on guys, we want rivers, right? That would be the most awesome addition on DayZ I can think of. Hostile Hero comes in with the question, what is your most intense experience encounter in DayZ if you had to choose one? That is a really tough question, because a lot of things happen in DayZ. One encounter that comes in mind is an encounter that I was with a couple of friends in Cherno. This was in DayZ Mod, and I wasn't recording back then, and I think this is one of the reasons this was so intense, because it was one of my early moments in DayZ. So I was playing there, and what happened is that we heard an explosion in Cherno. So we saw a car chasing down the road towards the gas station from east to west. My friends and I were at the red brick house, and it was complete dark. The explosion, the rest fire, lit up the rest of Cherno. There was another vehicle, and suddenly, they spotted us, and I just found a ghillie suit too, actually. My friends started shooting at them, but we were heavily undergunned compared to our attackers. I was stuck in a bush, and I didn't even dare to move, right? So, my friends all got killed, and I was stuck in a bush, and I didn't know what to do. And the other team drove away. Next day I gave the ghillie suit to my friend, and that was it, right? I didn't even participate in the fight. Bread and Fowler is one of those sneaky guys that ask 2 questions instead of 1. It doesn't matter. If you could choose a gun with any attachment in DayZ, what would it be? Well, I think that would be the AK-74 with the Question scope. That's already in game. I'm not much of a gun fan, if you call it like that. I'm pretty happy with the guns that are currently in game. I'm not really looking forward to, any additional guns. I mean, I'm happy with the guns that are coming in. But the things I wouldn't like is overpowered guns. That would be really bad for DayZ, in my opinion. What are 2 things you want to be added in DayZ? The one is rivers, as I explained previously. And one thing that I would really like is somehow that the game to be forced direct chat only. Wouldn't that be awesome? People actively have to work together. You could actively, listen to what people have to say from behind the wall and that kind of stuff. That's never going to happen, but if I can choose, that would be one. The next question is from Zimbabwe. When you're playing with Brian Hicks, do you ever feel like killing him for the pain and suffering he has made the DayZ community endure? Well, no. Brian is actually the only DayZ player I saw in real life, which is pretty awesome if you think about it. I saw him early this year when I went to Break to meet him, and he gave me a tour around Chernarus. How could you not like him? If you didn't know about it and want to know more about it, you can watch that in my video called The Real Chernarus. I will link that in the description as well. Debbie asks, what is your favorite and least favorite part of DayZ right now? I'm talking about experimental 0.59. Well, experimental 0.59 actually went to stable, so I will answer this question for the 0.59 stable release. What I really don't like about the moment about the 0.59 is that I experience stuttering. I think everyone has that at some way, but sometimes my game just really stutters and it's partly unplayable. If I get shot at that point, I won't be able to do something about it right now. That's usually in busy areas and when players are around, I think. The thing that really makes me enthusiastic in a new patch is of course the vehicles. I mean, come on, who doesn't get enthusiastic about that? That was one of the fun things that was back in the day in the mod, and now, it's finally in a enjoyable state in DayZ standalone. That's just awesome, and I'm really looking forward to uploading the videos. I already have multiple adventures with vehicles, and I'm really looking forward to uploading them to show you guys. Captain Yorkie asks, what are your DayZ settings, what settings do you prefer, and what are your PC specs? For this, I made a video about this. I want to refer you to that video, which is linked in the description. With the addition of the NewUI, which I use right now, FT made a great tutorial about that one, so I will link that one in the description as well. Former Dave94 coming in with the question. You have a very special playstyle with a focus on giving almost everyone you meet a fair chance to talk. With a playstyle that is so dependent on them being friendly or you being able to kill them before they do. What would you say is the ratio between the encounters where you end up dying and not dying? And also, how do you have faith in humanity when there are so many that kill on sight? Well, I think that's a really hard question to answer. I think most people I meet are friendly, but I also think I kind of talk to them in such a way that, you know, they're like surprised that I'm actually there, right? So they're like, oh yeah, I'm friendly, don't worry, you know, they're just surprised that I'm there and they just act up friendly because that's their, you know, first reason to survive. I couldn't really give you a percentage. I think 50% of me talking to them is friendly and do not even try to kill me, right? There's only a few that kind of try to backstab you afterwards. And how do I have faith in humanity? Well, because I want to give everyone an awesome experience, not just me. I think if you show them how the game can be played, maybe they're going to think twice when they try to stab someone in the back next time. Martin asks, when you have an encounter with another player and they recognize you, do you find that they treat you like any other survivor, or does the game change? I'm wondering how your celebrity has impacted your DayZ experience from a positive and negative perspective. Thanks, Free Ranger. I recognize you. You acted like you didn't know me in game. Well, I do get recognized, not too often though. I think I'm, you know, compared to other YouTubers and stuff, I'm pretty good off. But more and more people starting to recognize me. And I quite like it, but it changes the situation. It de-escalates the situation, you know. I'm looking for this tense encounter, but when they say, oh, you're that YouTuber, aren't you? Yeah, so they know I'm friendly, so it de-escalates everything immediately. That's sometimes not so fun. It's fun for one time, but if you meet 6 people after each other, and sadly that has happened once, it's not normal, I have to say. But, you know, if you meet 6 people after each other that recognize you and they're only friendly, then I guess that's, you know, maybe a little bit boring as well. Sometimes I just avoid a specific server if I'm recognized too often. But on the other hand, you know, if they behave normally, and people do, then, you know, I just play with them a little bit, or I just, you know, leave them, trade with them, go the other way. But if you try to give me stuff, I usually reject it, because, you know, it's just not fun to, you know, I'm playing the game as well. Why should I, you know, why would you give me your AK when you need it, right? So I don't really like that part of it. I'm not complaining, because, for example, Running Man's, you know, he gets recognized all the time. I really have the luxury at the moment to live the life of an underground person, if you know what I mean. Griff asks, do you think shooting people and getting shot in DayZ makes you jaded? Do you find yourself killing more and caring less? Well, I don't know. I have a pretty sincere feel of guilt, if you know what I mean. So if I feel like someone hasn't done anything wrong and he gets killed, I feel really guilty about that. So I don't think I have that problem, but I can certainly see that being the case for, you know, other people that have as a default less guilt feeling and that kind of stuff. Larky asks, you always give other players the benefit of the doubt when you come up against them. So my question to you, Renee, is would you be able to shoot first and ask questions later? Well, you won't be able to ask questions if you shoot someone first, right? I'm often more curious in why is the person shooting? Why is he standing over that body? Oh, what is going on? Is he innocent? Did the other party started shooting first? You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know, if they're shooting around, I'm pretty hostile because, you know, what do? You know, I don't want to get shot. So my initial instinct is also very important in this. My first instinct when meeting an armed player in a situation of danger is not pulling the trigger per se, but it's also just to talk to them, right? Hey buddy, what's going on? You know, that kind of stuff. Instead of, you know, raising my weapon and pull the trigger, which is, I think, the first reaction of most people. And the very important question of how are you? What is your training regimen to attain the title of DayZ Purist Ninja? I think it's just be patient and trying to track people. And now we're into the category different games. Still asks, are you planning to play Arma 3 DayZ Exile? Well, Arma 3 Exile is not DayZ, right? So a lot of people compare it with DayZ, but as far as I heard, it hasn't got any zombies. I've tried the previous Arma 3 Breaking Point and Arma 3 Overpark and Arma 3 Epoch, and people were very hostile and very different mindset in DayZ. They didn't talk most of the times, and if they did talk, it was only in a safe zone. And also in all of those mods I played, when I entered the first city, I had the choice. When I exited the city, I was fully geared, and I don't enjoy that. I want to go looting. I want things to be really scarce. I think in the moment DayZ, you know, there is too many guns, there is too many food. There is no challenge in that at the moment, even in DayZ at the moment. And it was in a way worse state in the Arma 3 mods that are currently out there, the ones that I played anyway. Cheap Shot asks, how long have you been PC gaming and what were your favorite and most played games over those years? Another tough question. I've been playing all my life basically, so I started with Pac-Man, Space Invaders, because those were the games that my dad actually had in MS-DOS. Over the years I played a lot of FIFA 98, Sims, Duke Nukem 3D game, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and a game that probably no one knows called Electronic Pop-On. Unreal Tournament game then. I only played that offline, by the way. Return to Castle Wolfenstein, that was the first online game I ever played. I guess Counter-Strike came after. I played that a lot. Left 4 Dead 2, I played that a lot. And Chivalry Medieval Warfare. And also Rocket League. That's another game I'm playing a lot at the moment. That's really useful because it's one of those games that you can play quickly. 5 minutes, I can play one game of Rocket League, for example. Nicholas G kind of asked the same question. How long? I think 23 years. Video games. 00 asks, have you ever played Stalker games? Well, I actually have all the Stalker games and I've played some of them, but I never really got into it, to be honest. I don't really know why. I think I've spent too little time in them. Also, the mission oriented phase that you have to go to this guy, the guy gives you a mission, there's all sorts of side missions. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy that about it, but maybe I spent too little time on it, to be honest. Nathan John asked, what is your favorite game as a kid, the one that you had the most memories with? I think I have to say Electronic Pop-On. It was a co-op game where you were a processor fan and a processor itself, and you had to fight the viruses in the PC. I never finished this game. I couldn't, it was too difficult. Carrot Survivor asks, and I will also answer Tony's questions, why did you start YouTube? What do you do for a living? And what are you studying in school? Well, I started YouTube because I wanted to tell the stories. You can also see that in my video, The Early Days. For a living, I work in IT. I used to be a system administrator, but lately I'm more into improving processes and analyzing data. Danny asks, how do you plan on making your videos? What is the process you go through? Congratulations, by the way. Thanks, Danny, I appreciate it, man. My recording files are usually an hour long or something. I try to give the footage a nickname and I try to tag them, as you see here. After that, I go through the footage. I just dump everything in the editor and I go through it and I pick out the useful moments. After that, I fine tune a lot and I rewatch everything over and over and over again until I really like it. Sometimes I immediately start editing with music and sometimes I really don't. Then there is a nice follow-up question from Abundance. How long does it take to create your videos? Well, that really depends. Sometimes you make a video within an hour, but usually the longer videos and the videos where you can see, like this one for example, where I edited a long time, I take hours and hours and hours, sometimes even maybe a full day to edit a single video. So it really takes a long time. I usually can't finish it in one evening. It's more like 3 or 4 evenings. Hydra asks, will you keep your channel strictly to DayZ, or are you considering playing other games? Well, at the moment I'm really enjoying DayZ, but I definitely think that if there is some legit games out there, like maybe Miscreated for example, and where I really can show my playstyle, or where I can kind of tell my stories and live my own life and make the decisions, then it can definitely happen. We'll see. DayZ for now, I guess. Nathan asks, what did you do before streaming YouTube? Well, I think I already kind of answered this, but I also played in a band before I started my YouTube channel, so I made a lot more music than I do right now actually. I still make a lot of music, but I did it even more back then. Michael asks, would you consider making a YouTube channel if there was no DayZ? What would it be about? Well, I'm not sure. Without pre-knowledge of DayZ or with pre-knowledge of DayZ? Because if DayZ would go away right now, I would probably switch to Miscreated and other like-minded games. Or maybe even start a different YouTube channel about, something else I really like to do. For example, I've thought about making a YouTube channel for, solving computer problems, that kind of stuff. Or I have made a couple of videos on this channel of Chivalry, medieval warfare, and videos I really love myself, Resistance and Liberation. Also a game I made videos about on this channel actually, 2 videos. I will link those in the description as well. Cyberglizos asks, do you intend to go full-time in the future? That's not really up to me, is it? I can only do my best and make the videos I love to make. But on the other hand, I also need to get the support. If there was ever a chance for me to go full-time, I would probably not do it. I would probably, maybe work 1 day or 2 days less. Spend those times on making videos and maintaining the channel. I'm perfectly happy with what I'm doing right now. If I was in it just for the money, I would probably just go, to Twitch and stream all day. So we'll see what happens. Daniel Ray asks, how long have you been making YouTube videos? I uploaded my first video at March 3, 2013, so I've been on it for almost 3 years now. Jacques asks, will you do a subscriber meetup? I don't know, if there is enough interest I can plan one, but on the other hand I've done some in the past and they weren't particularly successful, so I don't know. Riley asks, what are your big plans for your YouTube channel's future? My big plans are currently that I want to professionalize my channel, so I want to make, an intro, kind of a new logo kind of thing, because at the moment it's just the BarelyInfected text. I want to stay true to my current brand, so I think that's really important, because I really like the thumbnails I'm using at the moment, for example. It needs a little touch, so I asked someone to look into that and see. I'm not in a hurry, I don't know when it's ready or something. We'll see. On the other hand, DayZ wise, I would really like to start episodic, direct chat only videos in hardcore, that are episodic and the episodes will never end. So even when I die, I will probably, just respawn and just proceed where I left off, but in the same kind of server. We'll see how that works out, but I'm currently planning that. Loser asks, who's your all-time favorite follower? Maybe that loser on the other side of the pond. No, I don't pick favorites, but thanks for the support, man. Orielis asks, did you have a YouTube channel before where you posted videos, and so what was your first time ever video? Well, my first time ever video was actually on this channel, and it's about meeting my buddy Jam in a PBX boat. I will link it in the description. So yeah, this is my first YouTube channel. Spratzer asks, what editing software do you use and what is your gaming setup? Well, I've made 2 videos about it, in which I explain everything, because I get this question actually quite a lot. So I will just leave the links in the description, and I hope you understand. If you have any more questions, please ask it in the comments. The following questions I organized in the category Real Life. Chivalry Ohio asks, have you ever seen any other players? Well, the only ones that I've played with and I've ever seen in life are some of my close friends that you don't really know, and the other ones is Brian Hicks and Peter Spessy. I actually went together with them to Chernarus, as I told before. That fat boy asks, why do you seem to stutter quite a bit when you talk? I know you're quiet, but you seem to stutter a lot. I don't stutter, but I have to think about what I'm saying because I guess English is not my native language. On the other hand, you know, I'm also a little bit like this in Dutch. If I don't completely know what I'm going to say, I'm kind of in trouble. Buttered Buttocks asks, boxers or briefs? I would like brief boxers. Bot Buddies asks, what is your real life zombie apocalypse plan? I don't really believe in zombies, so I don't think, you know, it's necessary to have a real life zombie apocalypse plan. But I do believe that the world can end one day. I also think the chance is very small that one would actually survive at this point. You know, you have to be really lucky. I also believe that prepping isn't a good solution for it. But, you know, prepping for skills is a good solution for that, if you understand what I mean. So if you can, you know, maintain a farm, that's a really good skill to have, for example. JZ asking the important questions. Hi Renee, is Disney World really a people trap operating by a giant mouse? I don't think so. I do think they're trying to steal your money though. Brizosaurus Rex asks, what do you do besides DayZ, or what do you do before DayZ? I really like to make music, I like to read about history, and I like to hang around in the city with my friends. DayZ asks, if there'd be a DayZ map somewhere in your home country, which region or city would you like to dwell in zombies? I think the southern part of the Netherlands, because that part is a little bit hilly. The rest of the Netherlands is really flat. Jordi asks, do you love me? Yes, I do love you. I love you all because otherwise I wouldn't be making these videos. Camper asks, what do you think about dinosaurs? Well, every little boy loves dinosaurs, and when you grow older, that kind of always stays. So I do love dinosaurs as well. Just Cause asks, what GPU are you using? I'm using the GeForce 670 GTX. Don't buy this one because it's almost 3 years old. Andre Plays asks, where are you from? And Rusketty kind of asked the same question. I am from a post-communist country called the Netherlands. Blonepsius asks, how old are you, Renee? I can never tell it by your voice, and it drives me nuts. I am 28 years old. Bogdan asks, what is your goal in life? I don't know, what is my goal in life? You know, one day I would like to have kids, and I would like to be helpful to humanity, I guess. Agnor asks, Renee, how the hell do you stay so calm under pressure? I bet you would make a great nurse or EMT. I don't know, I don't think I stay very calm under pressure, to be honest. Maybe it appears that way in DayZ, because, you know, my voice is generally pretty calm. I guess I can keep a calm voice. I think FT and Running Man, for example, are way better at it. The Beard asks, when will you be releasing a CD of your original music? I'm not sure, I'm still planning to do it, but I have no dates or, you know, a way to do it, I guess. Martin asks, when you tell people outside of the gamer community that you do YouTube and Twitch, etc., what's the typical response you get? Well, usually they say something like, well, that takes a lot of time. I kind of, you know, keep it a little bit to myself, but sometimes I tell it and then, you know, they're kind of interested. They kind of also don't really know what it is, usually. I also think they kind of think it's pretty silly, but they don't want to say that out loud. But whatever. I do what I really like to do. I have you guys to back me up on that, right? I hope you liked this little insight in who is Renee. If I couldn't get to your question, I'm really sorry. If you really want an answer, please ask it again in the comments. I will answer it. And thank you very much for watching and for staying with me all this time.